What is happening? What the hell is happening to America? This is crazy. This is dangerous. This is scary. The FBI raided the home of President Donald Trump. His official residence at Mar-a-Lago raided by the FBI. This is crazy. The FBI, you lost my confidence a long time ago, but there can be no mistaking it now. The FBI, a corrupt organization. Oh, yeah, there are good people there, sure. But maybe they should resign. Federal Bureau of Incompetence, Federal Bureaucrats Incorporated. What is happening there? So politicized, so dangerous. Working for Merrick Garland. Did you do this because Merrick Garland wants it? Merrick Garland. Meanwhile, Hunter Biden. Hunter, has his house been raided? We all know, we can all see the criminality. You guys sit on your hands with that case and you move in on President Donald Trump. You know, thank God it's Donald Trump, quite frankly, because nobody else could withstand this kind of pressure, both the pressure during the campaign, during the presidency, the fake impeachments, the Russia hoax, January 6th investigations, Soviet-style investigations, and now this. He is unique. He is special. And his statement today is an important one. I will read it in its entirety. It was posted on Truth Social. Statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. These are dark times for our nation, as my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. Nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. After working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system, and an attack by radical left Democrats who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024, especially based on recent polls, and who will likewise do anything to stop Republicans and conservatives in the upcoming midterm elections. Such an assault could only take place in broken third world countries. Sadly, America has now become one of those countries, corrupt at a level not seen before. They even broke into my safe. What is the difference between this and Watergate, where operatives broke into the Democrat National Committee? Here, in reverse, Democrats broke into the home of the 45th President of the United States. The political persecution of Donald J. Trump has been going on for years. With the now fully debunked Russia scam, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and so much more, it just never ends. It is political targeting at the highest level. Hillary Clinton was allowed to delete and acid wash 33,000 emails after they were subpoenaed by Congress. Absolutely nothing has happened to hold her accountable. She even took antique furniture and other items from the White House. I stood up to America's bureaucratic corruption. I restored power to the people and truly delivered for our country like we have never seen before. The establishment hated it. Now, as they watch my endorsed candidates win big victories and see my dominance in all polls, they are trying to stop me. And the Republican Party, once more, the lawlessness, political persecution, and witch hunt must be exposed and stopped. I will continue to fight for the great American people. Wow. What a statement. What a president. What a man. He is on a roll right now. And later in the show, we'll show you some very pathetic video of Joe Biden. He could not even put his jacket on. This man seems to have more authority, more clout than the sitting president of the United States. He's right about these hoaxes. The Mueller Russia hoax, what he put us through. He knew early on that it was a scam, and he kept it going in an attempt to try to sabotage the presidency of Donald Trump. By the way, on the Russia hoax, Chris Wray, who ought to be ashamed of himself, really, Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, he couldn't bring himself to say the word hoax, but maybe the word scheme. What is a better word than hoax? Did you see this?
Do you agree that the allegation of secret collusion between President Trump and Russia was a hoax? Yes or no?
I don't think that's the terminology I would use, but I think there's been a lot written on this subject, and both in the special counsel's report, the inspector general's
Just yes or
report.
no is fine.
So that's not a term I would use.
What a bureaucrat. What a not a leader, not a leader, a swamp bureaucrat. Well, who cares at this point? This guy rubber stamped, approved this raid on a former president's home. By the way, sneaky guy, very sneaky. Ray, he concluded that hearing because he had to catch a flight, which suggests to me that he has to go catch the Delta shuttle, which sounded really weird because, well, watch this.
We just heard a half hour ago about your having to leave at 1:30. When he announced this meeting, he said we're going to have 7-minute first rounds, 3-minute second rounds. I've got 7 people on my side of the aisle want their additional 3 minutes. Is there any reason we couldn't accommodate them for 21 minutes or whatever Democrats want second rounds to?
Senator, I had a flight that I'm supposed to be hightailing it to out of here, and I had understood that we were going to be done at 1:30, so that's how we ended up where we are.
All right, so what are the details here? The arrogance, the bureaucratic sneakiness. It was an FBI plane to take him on vacation. These guys, crazily enough, have FBI planes at their disposal. When Comey was fired by Trump, and Comey totally deserved it, by the way, he was in Los Angeles on another field trip, and he flew back on the FBI plane. Donald Trump, it is amazing how he has withstood all of this. He keeps fighting back. That January 6th committee, right out of the Soviet Union, all their predetermined, the scripts, no cross-examination, only witnesses from one side, members who are not really from the opposition party, those rhinos, Cheney and Kinzinger, and you can't ask basic questions about what really happened on January 6th. Like, why did the cops let the people in? That little cop waving people in? What was that all about? We can't talk about that on taxpayer time? What about the cops who just stood there as everybody came in? This is the same government, by the way, that just raided Donald Trump's house, okay? And then we have the 3 cops who just walked away moments before Ashley Babbitt was shot. These guys decide to take a coffee break. There they go, da-dup, 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 and then all hell breaks loose. And what happened 30 seconds later? Ashley Babbitt is shot and killed. 579 days without justice for Ashley Babbitt. The more I think about it, for Donald Trump being targeted by this corrupt government, it's a badge of honor. It is a badge of honor. When the FBI comes for you, a political yes, that's how I see it now. And when the fake news comes for you, it's a badge of honor. When they accuse you of lying, almost anybody in power, you're probably on to the truth. Oh yeah.
J.P. Morgan's CEO is warning that an economic hurricane is coming. Are you preparing? If you don't do anything, your 401k could be a 201k, and that is not good. So call our trusted friends at Lear Capital. For 25 years, Lear has helped investors own gold to protect against market chaos. It's a good thing. They can help you too. Get your information and up to $15,000 in bonus IRA gold. Just call this number, 800-880-4300. That's 800-880-4300.